So, DAC, welcome to People in Legal. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
For the audience, I've known David or DAC for probably 13 years now.
Yeah.
We both work for LexisNexis, so it's really good to see you over here. I think last time you was over in New Zealand was probably maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
There's been one or two little sneaky trips.
Okay, but maybe officially in terms of the role you had before. So
Absolutely.
And since I last saw you, there's been some really exciting things happen in your life. So we'll come to that a little bit later. So, but for the audience, could you just introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of history about DAC?
About DAC.
Yes.
I'm David Atherton Cooper. I work in a team that has, I think, 6 or 7 Davids. So I've become known as DAC over the years. I'm not a qualified solicitor, but I had legal training back in the UK, certainly enough to be dangerous. And then I moved on to the IT side, and I've been working in legal tech pretty much ever since. So in the UK and over here, worked with teams in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US for a little while, and always around the legal profession, really looking at trying to help firms adapt to or adopt technology and kind of do useful things with it, not just swap one system for another and end up doing the same thing day after day.
Okay, well, so let's explore that a little bit more then. So Dye and Durham.
Indeed.
That was obviously an acquisition of the Affinity business from LexisNexis. So tell us a little bit about that and then give us a view of what you're doing today at Dye and Durham.
Certainly. So Dye Durham are an international group. They started in Canada and they've expanded worldwide. Didn't have much presence here in the Asia Pacific region until they acquired the old Global X and SAI Global company.
Okay.
So they're an information broker, particularly in Australia, as well as a legal technology provider.
So you were dealing with them back in the day, Global
So
X, before.
I know quite a lot of the team through the years.
Okay.
But they acquired the Affinity business from LexisNexis, which gives us a flexible practice management solution that's already well established on both sides of the Tasman. And in addition, we've just launched a new built for the cloud practice management solution called Unity.
Nice.
And that we're looking to expand and bring into the New Zealand market fairly soon.
Targeting at the lower end of the market, is that its use case or?
It's one of those systems where out of the box, it will help a small practice just get more efficient and move things forward. But it also comes with a full toolkit behind it for a larger organization. They can customize and tailor. It's built around the concept of integration. So although it does a lot and does really well by itself, you can plug in different things more easily than you could with some of the older traditional platforms. And then we still keep the Affinity platform going and expanding and moving forward for our existing clients and for firms who, for all sorts of reasons, need that more flexible approach without necessarily making the jump into the cloud yet.
Okay, so still premise-based for those that need it.
Or hosted, so we have a bring your own cloud approach. Whichever service you want to put it into, we'll put it there. And it all comes down to what is the technology going to do for the firm? And some firms have got really clear ideas, and other firms just sort of want the technology to help, but don't always know. So some of my job is helping them understand what have they got and what can they do better with it.
Sure. And here in the conference, are they the sort of conversations you're having with people here?
We're having all sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
So because in New Zealand we're a new brand, we don't have an established name, and we're building a good reputation. And there's some curiosity about who we are. We've got a lot of our existing Affinity clients have been coming to talk to us about new versions and innovations that we've got in the product. And there's a buzz about AI. People are either quite clear on, I wanted to do this, or I'm worried about that. Or there's a general feeling of, we know it's coming, we're not quite sure what its best use is going to be. And so I'm almost hearing a bit of a reticence to be the first ones to make that real quantum leap. So there's lots of talk about what's it going to do for our billing and what are client expectations based around how a firm is leveraging the technology.
So how are you responding to those questions then? I mean,
I'm responding. This is a really interesting world of the world.
And quite, a previous person that was interviewing earlier on today, we were talking around this kind of, well, do they view AI as revolutionary or do they view it as evolutionary? Is it what is it? And in fact, it's neither, or it's both.
The simple answer to me is it's both.
Yeah.
Some of it will come down to what each firm has certain needs, whether it is to give your lawyers a better researched piece to critique and turn into advice to a client. Mm-hmm. Is it to speed up the intake process and do a glorified conflict check that adds more value to the process before the lawyer even sees the file? Is it about summarizing complex content from multiple documents and giving a précis? Mm-hmm. All of this seems to be working towards, there's still a genuine need for the human involvement. However the information is presented to me, it's my name on the advice that's going to my client. Yep. And to an extent, reputation is tied up with that. And to give the best advice and advocacy, AI seems to be giving us quite a lot of, it promises a lot of efficiency.
And it's that, quite clearly, I spent 18 months in the US at the Law 360 business, but this level of conversation is very different from what it was 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, 2 or 3 years ago if we can have some automation, that's great. But it's a very different beast now.
But also, with the emphasis moving from predictive to generative AI, that I think is what's triggered a lot of firms to actually just stop and think, hang on, what's this going to really do for me? Because if it's a drafting assistant that aids the process, then that's great. But it doesn't seem to be able to do the drafting. It's not going to replace the lawyer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of conversation, and it's hard to say quite where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Given how much it's changed in the last 2 years, the next 2 or 3 are going to be really interesting.
Massive change again. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I agree. DAC, it's been a great pleasure as always talking to you. I love spending time with you, and I'm sure our audience will enjoy this podcast.
Good to catch up with you again.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.